Welcome to the Overrated Experience. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. If you haven't already, follow the Overrated Experience on Twitter. You can follow us at Overrated Exper2. That's Overrated EXPER2 on Twitter. Love to hear from you if anybody is actually listening. Today's episode, we're going to focus on looking at a few different topics, including obviously the NFL. We'll look back on Week 6, how we did, some of the horror stories, some of the wins. Look forward to Week 7. Also talk about some of the other sports going on, NHL, NBA, some insights to my thoughts on some of the top stories going on, or some of the issues going on, especially in the NFL. And also something different this time around, looking at doing a review of some of the betting sites that are within my area, Ontario, Canada. And I'm going to start with Bet365, my take on my review, my personal review, where I feel things are going well, things are not going well with Bet365. So more to come on that as we dig into the show. But just to kick it off, it's the sports betting market is running wild right now. It's NFL, of course, tops everything. You have NHL kicking off. NHL is like the over-unders are 7, 6.5, and this is the highest that I recall that it being in a long, long time. A lot of goals in each of these games. I don't know if it's going to slow down, but there's a lot of goals and a lot of games you stay away from because of the 6 and 6.5 and 7s are hard to digest the bet, but that's the trend going on right now. But also NBA just kicked off and trying to understand what way to go on that. Being here in Toronto, you got your Raptors who won the first game against Cleveland last night. But one of the thoughts here on the Overrated Experience, we're looking, this is a podcast for beginners, squares, not professionals, and those who like to put a little scratch on some of the long shots or over-unders and games on TV. This is the space to be to talk about it. We want to build a community here that it's okay to cheer each other on, take a look at all the recommendations and how to become a better. And that includes myself. I have a lot to learn. I've been doing it for a long time, but there is a lot to learn, a lot of bad habits I need to break if I want to improve as a sports gambler. And one of the things I'm going to try this year is take the NBA as an example. Look at picking out, 5 teams I feel that I will start to follow closely. I try to have no ties, no personal feelings, win or lose in these teams, and try to look at more information in depth. And if it actually helps throughout the NBA season, to follow these 5 teams and for props and wins, and maybe find a line that doesn't make sense because of the knowledge I've obtained by digging in deeper. So want to get your thoughts if you're out there on the Overrated Experience Twitter handle, Overrated Exper2, Overrated, EXPER2. The 5 teams that I'm going to follow for this exercise include the 2 LA teams, the Lakers. I'm going to do the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'm also going to do, I'm going to take the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets. Random selections to West Coast teams so that as regular life goes on, that I can actually focus on later games where I have free time. So I'm going to see how that goes. But if anybody has any good podcasts or people to follow on Twitter that cover those 5 teams, again, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Trailblazers. If there's any good follows on there, please let me know and I will follow them and see if it helps me out. And that's what we want to do, try to help each other out. So going on a little further, some of the early looks at NBA, some big matchups. Like tonight on Thursday, we had Milwaukee, Philadelphia, low scoring game. Clippers and Lakers are at it right now. Looks like they're filling up the points, so we'll see how that goes. My guest upstairs, the lady upstairs, she loves her NBA basketball, and she loves her betting her, little amounts on the live odds and enjoying some NBA action. And she breaks open her Bet365 account when NBA season tips off, and so she's raring to go on a Thursday evening, ready to bet some Lakers Clippers. So shout out to the lady upstairs. Good luck. All right. Now, going into the recap of week 6 of the NFL. And again, this is not a professional sports podcast. I'm giving you thoughts and feelings based on it from an amateur point of view. And I can tell you that there was some heartbreaking moments over the weekend that I'll share with you. Some decent calls I had to make that they did wind up covering or did wind up coming through, which is fantastic. But some stories also come out of these games, and we'll go through those. So just some of the bets that I shared last week include some of the props, and one prop, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but every time I'm taking player props, there seems to be an injury or a factor that's not necessarily just on performance that I seem to be getting crushed on. This week is no different. The Miami Dolphins went in with their third string quarterback to play the Minnesota Vikings. Skylar Thompson had a listed 199 passing yards for a prop bet. My thought was, with the weapons that the Dolphins has, all he has to do is chuck it out, little toss. He could throw a left-hander. Who gives a hell? Who gives a damn? Give it to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and he'll get yards. And I'm looking at, I don't know about you, sometimes you don't have time to sit down and watch Red Zone or dig into a game, and then you're following on your phone. I guarantee many of you out there are following on your phone, your laptop, and on the road doing things while you're trying to keep up to date on the scores, and just killing your data probably because you're refreshing so often. But I had, again, Skylar Thompson, passing yards, 89 yards by the end of the first quarter. And when you're looking at your phone, you find out, wait, why's Teddy Bridgewater in there? And then you look at the chat and you look at Twitter to find out that Skylar Thompson injured his throwing thumb, out of the game, questionable return. 89 yards at the end of the first quarter. He was sailing. And the game turned out exactly as I thought, that Miami would be chasing. Minnesota would squeak out a win. Miami would chasing. That's exactly what happened. But one quarter in, bam, Skylar Thompson is done. And there goes my prop. So just not good. Not good at all. So that was one. One of the other plays that I love to do because of excitement, not because I'm using my head properly, but as just a degenerate gambler, just like you out there, is using a teaser and putting some scratch down on 4 games at 6 points. Again, I talked on the podcast to spread out the teaser. It doesn't necessarily have to be 4 games at 1 o'clock, but what did I do? I put 4 games at 1 o'clock because that's the action I want to have. And the 4 games that I took was the over-under of 39.5 on the New York Jets, Green Bay Packers, New England Patriots to cover, because I think it was 5.5, 6.5, whatever it was, over in the Cincinnati-New Orleans game with the reduced 6 points, and Minnesota at a plus 0.5 to cover the Dolphins. I figured they'd win. It wouldn't be easy. I'd have to sweat it out, but I felt good about it. I felt the no-brainer here was the Packers and Jets at 39.5. I don't know what's going on with the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers has struggled before at the start of the year, and he's jumped out of it. But we're getting into week 6, just coming out of week 6, going into week 7, and the Packers look atrocious. They look terrible, and makes me wonder why can the Vegas Raiders go get Devontae Adams and sign him to a deal so that they have a top-end receiver for, Carr, and then you have other teams that have invested. You look at Jalen Hurts. He has 2 receivers, picking up Brown from the Tennessee Titans, signing him to a new contract. I don't get when you have an aging quarterback who's obviously in the back 9 of his career, one of the best in the NFL. What is it? You've been to back-to-back NFC Championship games, and then you cannot find a way to keep Devontae Adams. I don't understand that at all. What is Green Bay's plan? What's their overall plan? And most of the other teams tend to draft first-round receivers to make up for those losses. I have no idea what Green Bay is doing. Green Bay has lost its way. and almost trying to make a point that organizationally, we're going to make the move for the best of the team, but not looking at what team they actually have. And that is, you're a quarterback and you need to surround yourself with talent. And they have not done that. They'll probably eat my words because they'll climb back in and be in another NFC Championship game, but they miss a go-to threat and they just don't have it. And at the end of the first quarter or first half, it just wasn't looking good for the over/under. I think we had just if I'm looking at how the score was, the game was at a pretty low pace by the time it got to halftime, and we were looking at 3-3, 6 total points on a need to get to 39.5 points. So I couldn't believe that that's where it was. But there was hope as we approached the second half. Block punts and, Packers tying it up and various things happening. 21 points scored in the third quarter. So there's hope. We got now 27 points total. There's a shot if we have a decent... Why can't we have a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter? So we go to the fourth quarter, and I have to share just how the drive breakdown happened that really didn't go my way. So if you go to the drives breakdown, you look at the fourth quarter, at a point where the Jets get the ball, it's 24-10. 24-10 at 9:12. So there's been some scoring. 24-10 at 9:12 of the fourth quarter. Jets have the ball. And they go on a drive of 14 plays. This starts at 9:12, as I said, and ends at 2:37 of the fourth quarter, which is great if it turned into a touchdown. But when you have 14 plays where the Jets crawl and crawl and crawl to the red zone, and then you have multiple plays where on first and goal, on green. Oh, no, let's see this. Let's go through the list here. First and 10 at the 50, but then they're first and 10 at the 38 with 7:10 to go. First and 10 at the Green Bay 13 with 6:21 to go. Now second and 2 at the Green Bay 5. Third and 1 at the Green Bay 4. First and goal at the Green Bay 3. Second and goal at the Green Bay 1. Now it's first and goal again at the Green Bay 2. Second and goal on the Green Bay 5. Third and goal on the Green Bay 1. Third and goal at the Green Bay 1. And it ends off on a third and goal where Zach Wilson, douchebag Zach Wilson, by the way, douchebag Zach Wilson, whose only highlight is that he banged his mom's MILF friend, whatever, pathetic. Zach Wilson cannot gain a yard on the 1 to put it away. Instead, the the New York Jets settle for a field goal to make it 27-10, and the Packers could do nothing. Aaron Rodgers, if you've watched Aaron Rodgers over time, 20, 30 seconds, he has ruined many of your bets, many of my bets, by being able to bring a team down the field for a quick score. But no, not this time. So that sense sunk my teaser, where the Patriots, as I said last week, I didn't give a damn what I think about the Patriots anymore. I just took them, and they destroyed Cleveland. So that was the play, because I didn't think, I just did, and won. Took the over in Cincinnati, New Orleans. Cincinnati went on a run. They started putting up points. No problem. Way to go. And Minnesota squeezed it out. Took control in the fourth quarter. Almost, it was a scare, but it was that one game and that ridiculously long possession at the end of the fourth quarter that really sunk me. So, there's that. And we all have those days. And then moving on, one of the plays that I did make was the over 41 in the Jacksonville Indy game. That game went over, no problem. There's a good call there. But moving on to 4 o'clock, looking at one of the other heartbreaking games that I had was the Rams and Carolina Panthers. I had parlayed and used an alternative point total. Now, for those bettors out there, is, as you know, when you go onto your betting site, you have your money line where you can bet a game straight up, or you can bet with the spread, or you can bet the over-under. But as you dig further into the game on your betting site, there's an opportunity to add or reduce the total on the game. Obviously, the lower you take it, the less money you're going to win, and it can be significant. But it allows you to take a game like the LA Rams and Carolina Panthers to actually bring it down to 39.5 where I had it. And then I had parlayed it with the Seattle Seahawks to cover 5.5 over the Arizona Cardinals. I felt that the Seattle Seahawks were a safe play there. Arizona's struggling. They're heading into Seattle. There's no reason why at this point that Seattle is the underdog. But hey, that's how we'll take it and go with it. So no problem with me. But the Rams and Carolina Panthers is the area of opportunity that took place at 4 o'clock. So a bit of a similar situation where LA is struggling to score points. It's really hard to watch. There's something wrong there. Matthew Stafford seems to be under duress anytime he drops back to pass. They're trying to get the run game going with Henderson. Akers has apparently pissed somebody off, so he's gone. He's going to be done and probably moved very soon. And the Carolina Panthers, that their season's over. Just get rid of Christian McCaffrey now. Let him on his way. Don't think you're going to get a first-round pick if that's what you're holding out for. But they were absolutely brutal when it came to whatever they were trying to do. They had P.J. Walker, who's actually a decent quarterback if, you give him a chance to throw. But Carolina Panthers are trying to keep this game close by running the ball, which makes sense. But when you start falling behind, a touchdown, more than a touchdown, and you're still not throwing the ball, and you're still not rushing to save clock, I don't get it. But that's that's what happens when you have an interim coach that doesn't realize that, hey, I got a shot to potentially take this team over next year, but he's coaching his way right out of any shot at that job. Robbie Anderson, receiver for the Carolina Panthers, gets into it with the receivers coach. He's sent to the dressing room, and the next day he's gone to the Arizona Cardinals. So there's all hell's breaking loose in Carolina. But where things went awry here for me was the fourth quarter. A few touchdowns here, scoring's happening. LA's starting to really get going. Allen Robinson's getting involved in the offense, which is exactly what that team needs. Cooper Kupp is amazing. I never gave him the credit he probably deserves, but he is absolutely just puts his head down, receives, runs great routes, and makes big plays. So, and the only guy that Stafford really ever goes to. But going into the fourth quarter, 24-10 Rams. Carolina has to put in Eason, which is their backup quarterback, because Walker got smoked on a blitz and had to go to concussion protocol, but I think it was his neck that was the issue. So this big guy Eason's in there, quarterback for the Carolina. He can rifle the ball, and he actually has a good arm. So they start their fourth, 4:19 left in the game. Kyle here has no hope, but suddenly there's hope on the horizon as McCaffrey rushed to the Carolina 34 at first and 10. Well, that's only 1 yard. There's really no hope there. But then Eason pass short, complete to catch made by Moore at the Rams 12, gain of 5. I missed a part here, but they basically moved the ball down the field. Christian McCaffrey actually had the big run of 49 yards. First and 10 at the Rams 17. I need that touchdown. I need that 6 points. Going to pull one out, you know what I mean? I'm going to get that backdoor win. That's what I need to recover from that damn teaser at 1 o'clock. Rams on the 17th, 2nd and 5 on the 12th, 3rd and 5 on the 12th. It's over now, right? 3rd and 5, backup quarterback. It's going to panic. And then suddenly, bam, first down. He throws a ball, it's first down on the Rams 7. Great going, 7-yard line. At least give me 4 chances to get into the end zone. Nope, first pass tipped. And it's caught for an interception. So there you go. Game over there. Screwed again. There you go. It's another heartbreak. But I know I'm talking about all my bad beats, but this helps me de-stress when I can share these moments with this giant audience that I have for this podcast. So that was the crux of my Sunday. But the best game of the day, Bills, Kansas City. And when you watch a team like the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and then the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and the coaching and the depth and the strategy and how these two teams, these are the two these are the two best teams in the NFL. These are the top tier teams in the NFL. This is how football should be played. I'm glad we watched this game at 4 o'clock and not during the 1 o'clocks, because the rest of the games would be absolute crap. Buffalo pulled it out. I mean, there was opportunities for Kansas City, but both quarterbacks put on a show. Some turnovers on both sides. I'm sure that they want to clean that up going forward, heading into the postseason later on, which I'm pretty sure they'll match up. But what's going to be key is Buffalo looks like they're obviously going to be the lead for home field advantage, which, again, it's still a long season. So there could be a hiccup along the way, and the Bills sometimes get in their own way. But hopefully that's not the case here. Bills are looking great, and the Chiefs are looking great. So it's a coin flip to me on which team will probably represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But great game. Bills pull it out. Where I thought some good parlay or good prop bets were Josh Allen. Over 300 yards passing. He did exceed that, so no problem. And again, I would suggest that it's not going to happen every week, but if you see an under 300 for Josh Allen, probably go for it. He can throw the ball down the field 70 yards. He makes big plays. He keeps plays alive. He's just in a one-man show. Patrick Mahomes, a couple yards away from the rushing 23 and a half that I had him down for. Was close, but hey, close doesn't mean any dollar paid. So I didn't get that one. I thought this game was going to be a shootout, over 56 points. Did not happen that way. But great game, and probably the game of the day. Going on to the Sunday nighter, we have the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is the end of Cooper Rush. You could tell that this was the perfect game. I know the Cowboys want to win this game. There's no question on that. But if you're going to have a transition game where Dak Prescott can come back with no issues, this was the game. Cooper Rush is a backup quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. I give him credit. He had a solid few games. And, the rest of the team stuff, the Dallas D, is tremendous. They put a lot of pressure on the other team's quarterback and put the team under duress. You've had some big plays, Diggs in the secondary, some big interceptions, special team plays, turnovers. The running game, Pollard and Zeke have done really well. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to playing a team like the Eagles, this is where you want to have a Dak Prescott, not necessarily saying that he's going to get you the win, but he's going to give you the chance to win. Where the Cooper Rush of the world are not going to do that. He's going to be safe. He's going to be solid, but he's always going to come up second. He's not going to be your guy. So it's time for Dak. He's coming back, and we'll see what he can do against the Lions. We'll talk a bit about that later on. But one thing to point out as well, there was a bit, I know I had some money on the Eagles to win straight up, and as part of a few parlays. But one of the advantages of Bet365, and we'll talk about it obviously in the review a little later, was that there would be no sweating because the game was 20-3 at halftime, and you would have already gotten an early payout of 17 points lead that would have had money in your pocket already going into the second half. Other sites that don't have the early payout, you were sweating because the Cowboys were making a run and made it close at the end until the Eagles scored the touchdown to make it 26-17. But that's one of the advantages of an early payout. And you, the bettor, should be expecting that if one site can do that, every site can do that. I know I do. And I'm definitely keeping an eye out for a site that matches that incentive to join their site to actually be a part of that because I think that's a minimal that should be out there right now for all sites. But moving on, not going to really cover the Monday Nighter too much. Just had a parlay with I lowered the Denver LA point total to like 40 points. They couldn't do it. I mean, it's disgusting. I had a parlay with a hockey game over 5.5. The Kings and Red Wings, they did their part, but the Broncos and 13-10 at halftime, but they can't. Justin Herbert did not make a passing touchdown, which I think it's one game in his career where he hasn't. So it's not my luck. But probably the biggest pain in the ass on Monday was having the back to the NHL, the Leafs, who were I think minus 400, 500 money line against the Arizona Coyotes, and they came up flat, so flat. And this is the story of this team. And if you do live in Toronto and you are a Leaf fan, you know that they've failed multiple times in the first round, and they can't get out of the first round. And there's all these warning signs that pop up with this team, and this is just another one. They're playing the worst team in the NHL at home. They should be burying this team, and they couldn't come out until the third period and put an effort in. So, although I want the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup, I'll cheer them on and win the Stanley Cup. I'll celebrate like hell if they ever do win the Stanley Cup, but I have no hope that they're going to win the Stanley Cup with the team they have today. So I wish I didn't have to say that, but that's the reality of what we're seeing here in Toronto. Anyway, that's the recap of last week, and threw a little bit of NHL in there. But let's move on. Let's move on to week 17 and a few plays that might interest you. Maybe something worth talking about. Maybe worth something considering. So some of the games that stand out to me: Cleveland, Baltimore, divisional matchup. Right now, 6.5 point favorite. Baltimore is over Cleveland at home. I would look at this more of a tease. Bring the Baltimore game down to 0.5 for any teasers that 4-game teasers that you do that are 6 points. I think the Ravens will win this game, but because it's divisional, and it looks like Lamar Jackson is ready to go, but he has a hip issue, I guess, that was slowing him down and keeping an eye on him at practice. So I don't know if he'll be able to run as much. So let's not take a chance in the 6.5, but I think the Ravens will pull it out. Some other props in here: Jacoby Brissett has thrown 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. I don't see why that would change here. Baltimore, I can see picking him off 1 or 2 times. He's starting to get happy feet. There's times where Jacoby Brissett will, be with the Colts or the Patriots, and there's a few starts where it's like, well, hey, that looks good. But after a certain amount of games, it starts to get old. He starts to throw the picks and make bad decisions, and that's why he's a backup quarterback, and they're waiting on Deshaun Watson to come back. So for 1 interception, minus 110 for Jacoby Brissett, I think is a value pick. One of the surprising picks that's on Bet365 right now is in this game his longest field goal of 46.5. Cole York, York and Justin Tucker are your kickers. You tell me you're not going to get a 50-plus, and a half at best field goal, that any of these teams will be afraid to kick that field goal. I think that's a gimme almost. 46.5 as longest field goal at minus 115. Gotta love that. Moving on. Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, as I talked about, is going to be back against the Detroit Lions. Funny enough, even though I do think it's the time for Dak to get back in there, the Lions have been so poor, especially defensively, that I almost feel like Cooper Rush would be good enough, almost like a boxer who can get the decision win. They don't need the knockout blow. You just need to stay in there and you'll get the win by points. But nevertheless, I still feel that the Cowboys should cover that 7-point spread. So I'll take the Cowboys on that. But also interesting, Dak Prescott, 259 and a half yards passing. I got to believe he's going to try to light it up. That Detroit defense, absolutely horrible. They've given up a lot of yards to many quarterbacks. So I would take that. Props that are not showing is Jared Goff and sacks and interceptions. But keep an eye on that because it should be a field day for Dallas. Michael Parsons especially. Goff does not move well in the pocket, and he might just get teed up. He might not even, that sounds bad, he might not make it through the game, so you may even consider his passing yards under. I think he's going to get hit a lot. Green Bay, Washington. Green Bay sucks right now. They go into Washington, but I think, which is positive for Washington, Tyler Heineke is going to be in there at quarterback. He's been off and on with his team for a few years now. As injuries have come up, he can do the job. He's a little wild. I think he gets a little too aggressive sometimes. This is why I think the 41.5 is way too low, and I put some good coin on the over. And Tyler Heineke to a 220.5 passing yards. Why not? He's going to put the ball in the air. They're probably going to be behind, and he knows the playbook. It's not like he doesn't. He's not going to be restricted. They got to go for it. They need wins now in Washington, so look for that number to be surpassed. Giants, Jaguars. This is more of a why not. If you take the Giants at plus 140 over the Jaguars, what has Jacksonville proved at this point? They're a little better. They got a better coach, but what have the Jaguars proven at all to not take a chance at the plus 140 with the Giants, or ensure that you put the Giants at plus 9 for any teaser that you're working on? So don't understand why I would be so sure that the Jacksonville Jaguars are the team to take here. Moving on to another New York team, the Jets visit. Douchebag Zach Wilson takes on Let's Ride Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson apparently dealing with an injury, but everything looks like he's going to start still. This game's at an over-under of 38, and I got to believe that there's got to be more points than 38 here in this game. At some point, Denver's offense has to wake up. I know that I got burned on the teaser of 39.5 with the Packers game and the Jets, but I can't walk away from a 38 in Denver. So again, let's ride and take the over on that one. Look for props that do not show today. I think Zach Wilson will, facing a good Denver defense, will throw a pick. Will struggle in Denver, but it's not showing. But maybe closer to kickoff, it may. Sunday nighter, Pittsburgh with a big win over Tampa Bay, which I didn't see coming. Takes on the Miami Dolphins, where it looks like Tua is going to be back. There's no props for Tua yet because I don't know if it's 1,000%. But Pickett is going to be in for Pittsburgh, coming off concussion protocol. And also, Trubisky getting in there and getting the big win against Tampa Bay. So, surprising start. But I like Miami in this one. I like them at -7. I just can't see Pittsburgh moving the ball. I just see Miami has too many weapons. They will be able to get the ball in their players' hands. It doesn't matter if it's Skylar Thompson, Teddy Bridgewater, or Tua. I think they have enough weapons to get through the Steelers. Steelers don't really have much, got a lot of injuries, and I got to have full faith in those Miami Dolphins. And look at the prop. Tyreek Hill is at 80.5 receiving yards. He had 177 yards last week, and that was with Skylar Thompson out in the first quarter and Teddy Bridgewater coming in. Why can't he do the same thing plus more, double made that going into the Sunday nighter? So I think that number is way too low. And nothing really much, but on the Monday nighter, Chicago, New England. I didn't really look at it, but I'll probably take a look at the rush total. Looks like Mac Jones may return. I don't know if he's going to start, but Zippy Zappy is been actually doing pretty well. And there's a thing on Twitter right now where there's film of him when he gets the call from Bill Belichick to be drafted by the New England Patriots. So yes, it's hard not to like the guy when you see the video with him and his family getting the news. So that is the look forward to the NFL weekend coming up on week 7. So hopefully that you take some value of what I've provided for you. Hopefully it helps. Probably not, but what the hell? You heard my picks. If you want to hit me up on Twitter at overratedexpert2 for the overrated experience and let me know your picks, I'll be happy to take a look and share them with the rest of the audience out there. Massive audience out there. So that's that. And I promised that we would talk about Bet365. Maybe look at a review of some of the sites. Now, again, I'm in Ontario, in Canada, and there was a transition on April 4th where the government of Canada created a law where it allowed provinces to manage their own own decisions on single game betting. Prior to August or April 4th, 2022, there was legal sports betting run by each of our provinces. And if you're from the U.S., kind of like our states, but they had to run it with parlays. So there had to be multiple selections, 3 here and all that sort of jazz. It kind of sucked. But, players like myself and the people I know still used offshore betting accounts, including Bet365 and other offshore betting accounts, to have the true single game betting experience. So the Ontario government and Canadian government decided, why are we missing out on all the fun here? Why are we missing out on the income? Let's make it legal, but regulate it. So there was a flood of licenses provided to many of the sports providers that Bet365, FanDuel, MGM, many others, Sports Interaction. And I would encourage, I'm going to give a review of Bet365 and my experience. And my, it's not an expert experience by any means. It's based on my needs and what I use it for. But I encourage you to go to covers.com. Covers.com is a mainstay to look at a lot of information for sports wagering. But what else they do is a great job on talking about the gambling industry itself, especially those either in Ontario, Canada, or the U.S. And for my audience, it does rate and give enhanced reviews of the top sports books in Ontario, and it actually rates 1 to 5 and further. More information on a sports book maybe you're unfamiliar with, but you may feel more comfortable after reading the reviews. And Covers also reviews a lot of these on YouTube. So you could they provide in-depth screenshots and walkthroughs and some of the feedback that they provide, the pros and cons of each of the sites. So I'd encourage you to go to covers.com. A lot of good information in there for any bettor, especially the square bettor looking to get better. That's what we want to do, is get better at this. So I encourage you, covers.com. My review of Bet365. So I'm going to talk about, I haven't figured out a rating system yet, and maybe I will off the top of my head. Maybe it's something cheesy as gold, silver, bronze, but I'm going to put it as top class. Let's go with top class. Top class, not so class, and no class at all. Bet365 is, I'm going to go with pros and cons here. I'm going to go with the stuff about Bet365 I like a lot. And if you watch Dumb and Dumber, you'll no, actually, was it Dumb and Dumber or Ace Ventura? I can't even remember. I think it's Ace Ventura, but I like it a lot, and I'll talk about what I like a lot about Bet365. So Bet365, you've heard me say it if you followed the podcast, right now is the top app, top sports provider, the most popular, at least in my circles, that is out there right now. And you know what? Rightfully so. So some of the positives, some of the things I like a lot are again, if these options exist on these other sites, I'm unaware. I haven't gone through every site. I've gone through a few, and I'm basing my feedback based on my experience and my experience alone. So I talked about the Eagle-Dallas game, the early payout. I can't tell you what a significant advantage to that site and how appealing and how many people are gravitated to the Bet365 app and sign up because of the early payout. If you're following a football game and you bet a money line or a parlay with a money line, and the team goes up, you select 17 points and it has a 17-point lead, you get a check mark and you get paid, or you get that check mark on that parlay. And again, you would not have sweat it on the Sunday nighter. You would not have sweat the Dallas and Eagles game, because the Eagles, if you took the Eagles, would have had it. We would have had the win. I don't care if Dallas scored 15 touchdowns after the fact, after the third and fourth quarter. You would have had it in the books. Smart. Very, very smart. NHL up 3-0, 3 goals. Baseball 5 runs. It's just smart business, and we all should expect that these positive features are what we want in all our providers, and that's simple as that. Ease to navigate. I'm looking at some of the other sites I've dealt with, like FanDuel and Sports Interaction. I will review those at various different stages, but I can zip around the Bet365 app easy. Very, very easy. I can jump. Me, the player, I like the fast pace to quickly jump in and out to various different sports, jump to different bets, jump to different games, very, very fast. And I want things easy to find, right? And I find that Bet365 provides that with their app. They have the best app. It's not clunky. It's just easy to use. It's almost like they built it to cater to me. And that's what I like about it. Live and play. I find they have the best live and play. It seems like it's almost like a stock market. The stock's going up and down, and you're following it along. And even the live and play is the only betting site that I've seen where I would use the live and play at Bet365 to follow a game, to actually get the latest updates. It's that good. So that's definitely the live and play experience is top level. Live streaming, it's hard to say because Bet365.ca for Canada, the live streaming was very good before it got regulated in Ontario. So for those outside of Ontario, I mean, I was able to watch Bundesliga soccer, Italian soccer, baseball's on there now. I know the other sites have offered streaming, but not to the extent of Bet365. It just caters to you. It's great. The options. If you go into especially football, I mean, the other sites offer player props, but you have player props, you have, total passing yards. I don't need to pick a quarterback. I can pick total sacks. I can pick total penalties in a game. And if those options are available somewhere else, and those other sites I use, they make it easier to find because I can't find it. Bet365 offers the best options. And again, it feels like it's built for what I want. So get with it, everybody else. And it's just simple. It's not rocket science. It's really, really simple. The current promotion that I'm reading, and I don't know if it's going to change soon or not, it's for Ontario customers. If you deposit at least a minimum of $10 and bet that at least $1 of that deposit within 30 days, and again, you go to the website for details if I'm messing this up, but you'll get a $250 credit towards bet credits. And I would start this as where I think they could probably do better. That's not really enough incentive, and I kind of feel that small incentive is an incentive because, hey, I'm Bet365. I want your business, but I really don't need it. And that's the aura that kind of offer provides me compared to some of the other great offers that are out there right now. Like FanDuel has a pretty good offer if you join today. It's just $250. Give me a break. Outside of the gameplay is fantastic for Bet365, but I guess my only experience when the transition for Ontario went from the unregulated site to the regulated Canadian Bet365 site, there was a big struggle and a big struggle for a lot of users that just like to log in and bet their games, and there was a real inconvenience because everybody had to validate and verification their ID and their, all that sort of information, which is fine because you have to show you're a resident of Ontario and you have to show who you are. That's fine. Great. But the way it went down was a lot of people I knew did all the steps that were asked of them, and it still continuously as you logged in, said you're not in this area, you can't bet, sorry. And you have a game, you're ready to bet, and you get this pop-up that you just bet 5 minutes ago, but now you're putting a different bet in, and it's stating that no, you're not a resident of Ontario. And then you're like, what the hell? And there was big time struggles on that. There are guys I know, that like to use their laptop versus their phone, and you had to upload software so that it could validate your location. There was a problem with that. I don't even know if that's been rectified. But I know that after a while, I finally got back online, but it did become a pain in the ass for a month or so, where it kept thinking I was not in Ontario, and it really just put a sour taste in a lot of Bet365's longtime customers' mouths based on that experience. And the lack of somebody to call, they do their chat, which was backed up like 30 people at a time, and who the hell's going to wait around all that time? So the transition was poorly done by Bet365. They did not provide the support. They didn't have a clean transition. That I'm sure there was behind the scenes issues, but they failed on that. So my experience, and again, I'm gonna give you another experience for you players out there to watch out. Now, each of these sites, just like a casino, has their rules, and you sign up and you play by their rules. So whatever feedback I'm about to provide, that's fine. Like if Bet365 or anybody else has their rules and they abide by them, then they go with their rules, and that's just the way it is. And if I want to participate with their business, then I got to go by their rules. But I did my verification in April, and so I had my information provided, no problem, verification. And then suddenly a month later, I'm getting asked for an enhanced verification. And again, it's outlined on their website that they may do an enhanced verification. So they actually send you an email that states that, we want to ask you a few questions. We actually want to set up a call. And if you don't set up a call, we'll restrict your account. We'll put restrictions on your account. So I've never had where a betting site is going to give me a call and arrange a meeting to call. First of all, when I needed you, I could only chat, but suddenly you're going to call me because you have questions, because you want to do an enhanced verification. So during the call, you're like, okay, I guess I'll answer your questions. They ask you generic questions about your income and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll give you generic answers to my income. But if you feel, I like the idea that you feel responsible to make sure that people are conscious of what deposits they're making, what bets they're making, the amounts they're spending. That is fine. And I like the idea of them having the ability to provide you, the user, the abilities to put restrictions on how much you deposit and bet. But at the same time, I think there's a point where you can overstep your boundary. And I think it's unacceptable. Again, they have rules, and they have rules that you do business with them or you don't. So the ask was, at some point we want you to send personal information, a bank statement that has all your information, so we could see where your last deposit came from, or where your deposits are coming from. And that's where I drew the line. I stated that I've answered your questions. I'm aware of the features that you have provided. If need be, I'll put whatever restriction I want on my whatever. But I feel that the ask for anybody's personal financial information is a step too far. And so we talked about the gameplay and the excellence that they provide and all the options and the app support. That is way too much. Absolutely unacceptable. And I absolutely refused. And when they say restrict it, it's not that, hey, we're going to restrict you to $50 a game. It's not, we're going to restrict you from actually betting. So whatever, I'm going to move on with life and move on to another provider. But so that's the pros and cons. The enhanced verification, to me, in my opinion, is overstepping the authority of somebody. And if it's somebody else, maybe they feel pressured to provide information they feel uncomfortable that may put them in a position of a security risk of their financial information. That's how I felt. So I said, no, that's unacceptable. Who are you to tell me what deposit I can or cannot make? But they can to do business with them. So I was and probably will file a complaint that I don't think asking for that information is appropriate. I think I gotta feel it violates something, and it's just not the right way of doing business. So that's the only downfall for Bet365, in my opinion, and that is kind of the snootiness of we know we're the best. So we're gonna kind of, I have a feeling that the person who's dropping $100,000 and $300,000 and on their website is probably not going through the same screening process, to be honest, that the regular Joe, the bettor is, or the average square bettor is. So that's kind of where the kind of hypocrisy to that method also stands out to me and doesn't appeal to me at all. So on to other, and you know what's good is that because there's so many different other sites out there to try, that now I got out of my comfort zone and have tried a few more sites, and will probably continue as time goes on because of the ease of doing business, of Interact transfers and quick deposits and quick withdrawals, that it's not a pain in the ass to go get a prepaid vanilla Visa card, or back in the day go to Western Union. It's so easy to move from one business to the other. And I encourage you, all us as the community of sports bettors, us degenerates out there, is that don't get too comfortable with one site. Check a few of them out. Check the offers out for each of the other sites that are available to you. Look at covers.com. Look at some of the reviews. There's nothing wrong with trying it out. You should go to the business that offers you the best solution at that time and gives you the most. This is not a brand loyalty thing. The more we're selective to, demand a feature like early payout, or, hey, I don't want this verification, those are the times where our choices will get a lot better, and there'll be more sites that offer early payout because that's what the public is demanding. So we need to kind of be versatile and go where the business is best. And that's where our reviews need to come into play. That's where your feedback to a podcast like mine needs to come into play. And I encourage you to keep, it's nothing wrong with having a betting community and keeping, together and encouraging each other and cheering each other on and making sure that we all hopefully make a little bit of money and have a lot of fun along the way. So I'll leave it at that. That's my soapbox and my review of Bet365. So at the end of the day, it's a gold standard. It is the gold standard of the play, with a few hiccups regards to the of how they run their business versus the actual gameplay itself, which is absolutely the best. So take it for what it is, and I hope this weekend you win some money. Bet a few hockey games, bet a few baseball games, bet a few basketball games, especially football, whether it be the college kind or the NFL kind. And put that pot of coffee on a Saturday morning, wake up, watch some soccer as well, and have a good weekend. And over and out. Talk to you later.